so excited to introduce you to this woman you should know. I'm here with the one and only Catherine Robinson from First American Title. That's one of her many hats and one we're going to discuss first, but she's got such an amazing story and does so many things. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I feel very honored.
It's ours. So I'm excited to share all that you do. Let's start with what you do for work. So you work for a title company.
I do. So I think what most people don't understand with title companies is we are the physical company that actually closes and records the document.
Yes.
So we are the ones getting it to the county and saying, okay, guess what? Keys can be handed over.
Right.
It's officially recorded and it's now yours.
Yeah.
The insurance component, which is where it really comes in, is to make sure, since we know it's the most important purchase of most people's lives, that people who purchase are protected.
Yes.
And that what they are getting when they get their home is actually free and clear, and that there's no blips on title, no issues that could come up. But that's also why you have title insurance, because it's there to protect you.
Exactly.
So and we're kind of behind the scenes anyway most of the time, but hands down, greatest profession a working mom could ever get in.
Yeah, and you've been in the business for quite a while.
I have 9 years.
9 years.
Well, almost 9 years.
9 years.
So.
And you are part of what I love, a really powerful three-pronged weapon, I'm going to call it. You have a group of ladies that you work with.
I do.
Very closely, and you do your business together.
We do. So it is the biggest gift is to be in business with like-minded women, and
Absolutely.
we are affectionately known as the title trifecta.
Yes.
And yeah, they are powerhouse. They're amazing, and we are truly like sisters in work, because we couldn't do it if we all didn't have the same work ethic, the same values, how we wanted to run the business, and with that, we also create the space for us to still be moms and to still kick butt, which is fun too.
Yeah, and you know, most people probably don't understand actually I don't want to call it stress, but the pressure of the title company to really get it correct. You're basically ensuring ownership and holding accountable anything that might have been from the previous owner. So it's a lot of like digging, finding the solution, getting it done, and getting it done within a reasonable amount of time.
Yes, obviously we have to follow the timeline of you as the agents who want to put your amazing buyer or close that home for the seller. And so I think also what we have to acknowledge is we're almost like the investigator, because we're digging very deep to make sure things that people don't even think about, like, do the signatures actually match? Because obviously we deal with a lot of fraud in our industry, especially now. We're really here as a protective layer for everyone involved. So it's meant to be something that obviously helps everyone in the transaction, not just the buyer and the seller, but you, the agents, as well. So it's needed, and we actually get to be part of it just behind the scenes.
And creating this team with Dawn and Valerie, was that an organic situation, or was that something that you really were, because you started, right?
I did.
You were the first
I was.
prong of the weapon, right? So was that something that you set out to do, or did it happen kind of organically as you met them?
So I am a firm believer in a village, and I feel that power in numbers always.
Yeah.
I got hired with First American back almost 9 years ago, as said, and I joined a team with another incredible woman who's actually my mentor to this day. And when the Palm Springs rep retired and got replaced, we looked at the whole city and we were like, or the whole Coachella Valley, and we were like, why are we serving both sides, but ultimately working like separate of one another? It didn't make a lot of sense logically, and we're like, we would be so much more just strong in number, but also in how we serve you guys and how we show up for our clients, how we solve problems, if we could come together and work as a team.
Right.
So the team mentality was inspired probably about 2 years after I joined First American, and we were able to convince our managers to convert us into one team. And then from there, thankfully, I was able to bring Dawn in, who is not only a dear friend of mine.
Super spectacular person.
Yes, she is. From the real estate industry also, but I had worked with her previously, so I knew exactly how she worked. And then when our final partner retired, we got to bring the amazing Valerie in, and so our team just clicked. And so I'm like, this is it. We're going out. Like when we retire, all three of us are going out together. Sorry, First American.
And so what I really appreciate so much about the three of you is, you know, you're so out and about and involved with your agents, and also when one of you has a struggle, I've seen the other two of you step in like no problem and really support that person at such a high level where they're able to deal with that, and your business doesn't falter.
Well, thank
it's
you for
super
saying
special.
Thank you for acknowledging that. You know, that is the gift, right?
Yeah.
Being able to carry the strength of the team even when one person may be absent because 100%. Of personal circumstance or whatever their life may have handed them at that time. But yes, it is, and not only that, just the support that we give each other, you know, professionally, in hopes that we're inspiring each other to be our best selves. But also, you know, professionally encouraging one another to show up every day, and thankfully we love what we do, so it makes it so easy, and we get to be friends and be in business with amazing people. So we're so blessed. My goodness.
Well, this team effort allows you guys to always give your clients the service that they really need, no matter what's going on.
That's right.
And I think that that's super special. It also allows you to do all the other things that you are so wonderful about. Of course, a mom to two, 12 and 9, right?
That is right.
Yeah, so that's
soon to be 13, which is, and she's a 13-year-old girl, which I, you know, respectfully am like, I am trying to process all of this.
It's so crazy to think back when you were 13.
Right? Yes.
Yes.
She's amazing.
But she's
she really is.
No, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. And you're super active in their lives, of course.
Yes, very important.
Yeah, and of course you're a wife of many years as well.
I am.
So
16.
Yeah. And let me take out my notes because I know that you're involved in so many things in the community.
Yeah.
One thing that I would love to hear a lot about, because I know for a long time the Discovery Museum was closed.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you played an integral part about making sure that it opened up and is now open for the public and an amazing place.
Yes.
So one, tell me why that was important to you.
Sure thing. So I will tell you by design, because I have 2 children. Number one, I think it's very important for me, because it's one of my buckets, is giving back, right? It's definitely a joy-filled bucket. But to show a servant's heart in many ways, I needed to make sure that where I'm serving is child related, because I wanted it to be able to encompass my children in some way, right? Work pulls me out here and there to be absent at times. So if I'm going to be of service, the Children's Discovery Museum was a natural for me, because number one, it was at a time when there was a changeover, and yes, we closed because COVID. High touch museum, COVID didn't unfortunately translate. And then at that time, we recognized, okay, with the doors shutting and everyone having to be, unfortunately, the entire museum shutting down, people included, the board kind of reevaluated how we wanted to reopen, and reopening with the exact same experiences didn't make as much sense. It was like, okay, those have been decades old at this point. Let's take the opportunity while we're closed to fundraise, to get back into the community and serve others in a certain capacity, get that money through the door before we open, and completely reimagine. Yeah. So building one did get reimagined, and no doubt it was tough. It was tough to get through that period of time, just because some things were definitely out of our, as in the board's control, but we were able to open up last Memorial weekend, if I'm not mistaken, and it kind of opened in sections, but now we are fully open, and what people have done to contribute, and I think that's also the misnomer that I would like to mention. We are not funded by the city. I think that the city has been incredibly generous, and they are a huge support of ours, but we are in Rancho Mirage, and so really what keeps us going and growing is the community support. So raising awareness and money to poured into the museum so that we can redo building 2 and eventually get building 3 reopened.
Mm-hmm.
And we have already had so much support, and we have some other big support that's coming in slowly but surely.
That's super exciting.
But it really is the community that makes the difference.
100%. 100%. So if somebody was interested in participating in that, like what would be a good way to find out what would work for them?
So I would highly recommend join the social media channels for CDMOD, whether it's Instagram, Facebook. Also, cdmod.org is an amazing opportunity to be able to click the Give Now button if you're interested in donating from a financial standpoint, but time. I mean, you can contact our CEO, Cindy Burson, and she can help discuss where we need the help, where we need the introductions, just so that we can continue to get the word out about what we're doing and how we're growing and how we're giving back to the community.
Right.
I'm actually had to write a little quote today for a press release that's going out, and I was just thinking, I grew up with this museum. Like, I remember painting the VW bug and all the things that brought back so many memories for me as a child, and just experimenting and creativity and playing vet, all the things that you do as a child, engaging with your friends. And I say in a world where we're so technologically dominant now, and kids are so much on screens, I love that we have a place where parents can engage with their children.
Right.
There's learning, there's experimenting, there's using the imagination. It's such a gift.
So a couple of things I want to touch on. So yes, you grew up going there, but you also know that we had a huge influx of people that moved here during COVID that may not understand what that museum is really about.
True.
So what, if you could explain it to them in a couple sentences, what would you say it's about? What's the goal?
Well, I think that's actually a beautiful question. I think more than anything, inclusivity. We want people to feel welcomed. The bunny, when you walk in, by design, his name is Joy.
Oh.
So we want people to feel immense joy when they walk in. I know that we, if not the first, we're one of the first autism certified centers. So we make sure that we are really open for everyone. And a place where, again, kids can connect with hands-on experiences. And it's divided up into different sections, if you will. We have like a commerce space up top. We have places where kids can experiment. We have places where kids can actually do some type of art or craft. We have the outdoors, and again, parent engagement. We want to recognize that we're not hey, let your kid run off and play, and you stay on the back end. We're hoping that it would create that inspiring engagement and interaction between parent and child, or adult authority and child, whatever that looks like. So it's just a special place.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was just thinking, I haven't been there for probably about 15 years or so.
Well,
so I was like, I need to go.
You there.
Yeah, exactly. So give the website one more time for people.
cdmod.org.
Okay, and then that obviously has hours and things like that.
It does. Yes.
Okay,
I can tell you we are closed every Sunday.
Yeah.
And so open Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday. Okay, that's very good. I love that. There's so many cool things here in the desert that I think even
so many.
Right, like you could live here for so long and not be aware.
Correct.
And that's a super important place. Family oriented, parents and their kids.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. And grandparents and their kids, and aunts and uncles and their kids. And I took my niece and nephew recently over the holiday, and just to watch my niece, who is 3 and a pistol. I mean, she had this scarf blower, and she got to watch it maneuver through this tunnel and pop out the top, and her just glee of excitement and enthusiasm. I mean, it was palpable. And so I loved watching that. And you could just see it over and over again, cause and reaction, or whatever that, terminology.
Sure. I love it. So I look forward to checking that out.
Yeah, well, I would love to come with you.
Yes.
We will play
tour.
We will play and do all the experiments together.
I love it. So, of course, also you've been involved in Leadership Coachella Valley, class of 2015,
which we
second best class ever.
Best class ever. Which, by the way, the class of the leadership class, the leadership class, if I'm not mistaken, last year created a whole track or sandbox. I'm sorry, I think it was y'all built the sandbox. That's at Children's Discovery Museum. That was y'all's project.
Okay.
It is amazing. So that sandbox is courtesy of
very cool.
Yeah, Leadership.
I love it. That's a whole nother conversation.
It is a whole nother conversation.
So you also are currently sitting on the board of the King's Schools of the Desert for 3 years.
I am.
how does it feel to be involved in that? Like, as far, obviously your children are going there, but someday your children won't, and you're playing an integral role in policy and stuff.
So I will tell you, I love my children's school. I'm so passionate about this place. Number one, for me, being faith driven. I love that they feel so loved and secured in such an environment. And really, we want anyone and everyone who, has the capability to visit the school, at least experience what it is. And if you felt led or compelled to enroll or, whatever, that's obviously your prerogative. But I was 6 months pregnant and big old belly at Staples, no exaggeration, and ran into an old high school acquaintance, and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, of course, hormonal," and I'm like,
"Pregnant."
I know, can't you tell? And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna have to go back to work after my baby's born," and thankfully, I knew I was gonna have a little chunk of time off to be in that mommy role, but. And she goes, "Oh, you have to check out King Schools." And I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, they have an infant center." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" So they take babies 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all the way through 8th grade. So when I tell you King's runs through my veins, when you have to leave your 4-month-old, because I got 4 months with both my babies, for me that was the gift. When you have to leave your 4-month-old in the care of someone else, it's got to be a place that you trust, that you genuinely love the people who you're handing that baby over to. And King's did it for me.
That's awesome.
So both my kids, my son is in 3rd grade, and my daughter's now in 7th grade, and she will graduate next year, and I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
So sitting on the board, not only am I humbled, but it is a privilege.
Sure.
Because I believe in the mission. I believe in what it does for the students there. My kids are incredible public speakers. They train them up to be great leaders. I just love it on all accounts. And they train up the child. And so it's a beautiful collaboration between parents and or caregivers or whatever the circumstance is, because obviously family dynamics all look very different. And the school and the staff and the teachers and the love. The love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's something that you brought up, public speaking, because I think probably, especially after COVID, but the whole interaction just via the phone and all of that. I see it in younger people so much, like they are not comfortable having a conversation. But you can just you can have a full, very intelligent conversation via text or whatever, and then the moment they're very much like, I don't know what to say and I can't look you in the eye, and like, that's such a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's how you get a job. It's how you form, healthy relationships, is real communication, and it's kind of scary.
Well, and I often said, COVID taught us a lot, right? But the one thing that I felt that we knew coming out of it is how important human connection was.
Oh my gosh.
And I drive on needing and thriving to be around people. I am a natural extrovert, clearly. Probably why I wear so many hats, because it fuels me as a person. But I think more than anything, for me, it's just understanding people's stories and being able to have that intimate conversation when you need to, and showing up in ways, because you just never know what somebody's going through. And having empathy, which I think is lost. So with regard to a fun fact, and we can leave it there, but speaking of technology, one of, a decision that kind of came down the pipe after a while is, in 6th grade, our kids would, like many schools, and I think in today even like the elementary schools, have laptops, Chromebooks, iPads, whatever, but our middle school would give an iPad to each of the students, and everything would be done on iPad. Books, all of their assignments, Google Classroom, the whole bit. It just came to our attention that, in a world where everything's so technology driven, we were like, it was creating too many outside conversations, things that were, kids will be kids, right? So we decided to go back to textbooks. In middle school.
Oh, wow.
Now, elementary school still has textbooks.
Sure.
But the thing was, graduating to middle school and getting an iPad was like a big deal. And then we had to drop on them that they were going to go stick with textbooks. Gotta tell you, best thing we ever did.
Interesting. So how long has that policy changed? How long have you
It's only been about a year, and it's been amazing.
Interesting.
You know,
there's something to be said about holding
you know,
a book and
I
going
gotta
through
tell
it
you,
that way.
and
It's different.
It is different, and to be honest, because I'm of that generation, when helping my child study, which, whew, is way over my head now, especially in the math department. Being able to touch a physical textbook and like
flip through it and find the page and
do the things,
that's
like
a whole thing.
And they have to actually physically write page numbers next to their answers so that they can back up what they're, I'm like, this is, I mean, yeah, obviously it feels very old school, but I'm gonna tell you there's something beautiful about it. And it's what I mean,
well, out of need, COVID sort of like fast forwarded all of that out so quickly.
It did.
Right? It just is what it was. And you talk about your daughter, she's about to be 13. Well, she spent 4 formative years very young in COVID.
She did.
And so now she's gonna be going into high school. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. What are some things like you talk with her about or try to prepare her for
a lot of it
that looks like?
I mean, to your point, when you're 13, I think I just remind her that friendships are fluid and everybody is going through changes and trying to feel accepted and trying to go through their own, who am I right now, right? There's just this fog of just, am I pretty enough? Am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? And we're just consistently ingraining in, her name is Emma, especially at this age, a discipline that's healthy, right? Making sure she has a very healthy self-confidence, because body changes are a real deal when you're a young girl, especially
when you're
13.
Even our age.
Yes. Thankfully, her dad and I are ridiculously active people, so she gets a lot of it at home. But on the flip side, just kindness in general, and realizing, I always tell her, when someone is approaching you and they're being unkind, a lot of times it's not because of you. It's because they got something going on.
That's so
So really, you just have to make sure that it's what you're controlling is how you react, right?
Yep.
So it's a lot of that conversation over and over and over again. And a lot of times for us, because we come from a Christian background, like we're trying to implement some of that too.
Sure.
Just remembering,
Yeah.
when you're worried, pray for that person, So it's just, it is what it is, because it's what we need. We all need it. We all need hope. We all need,
That's an important hat to wear.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it is. And it's the best hat, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you had a mentor.
I do.
Piece of advice that she gave you that you never forgot.
Oh goodness, that's a really good question. I would say, first of all, imposter syndrome is real, right? Sometimes not feeling like, I don't deserve to be in this role, or I don't deserve to be here.
Nobody cares actually what I think or what I'm going to say.
I'm still not of the credibility I need to be. I remember going through some stuff in the beginning, and obviously title was a completely foreign world to me.
Sure.
Funny enough, and I know you had a former colleague on, I worked at Cord Media.
Oh,
so
my gosh, I
about
did know that.
Full circle, right? So that was very much my world. I was in that marketing and PR world, and I thrived in it, and I loved it. But I also love this because I have a lot of flexibility to manage business. So I'm very good at blocking out time. Not that I'm perfect at it by any means, but that's also why we have a team, right? So it's kind of time management and trying to keep things moving, the balls going, and not trying to drop 17 balls when you're juggling 25. But I just said, well, I'm never gonna be like you. And she looked at me and said, I don't want you to be like me. She's like, I want you to be you. And I think that's what I would say to anyone, like, just be you.
Yeah, I think what I've learned in what I do is that the moment you try to do it the way somebody else is doing it is the moment that you stop having those connections, because you're not being true to who you are.
Correct.
And there's so many ways to do it right, and to do it right, being exactly who you are is the way that you'll do it best.
And the key word in that is authentic. And that's like my prime directive, I always say, is like, just be authentic. Show up as you, and at the end of the day, you can say that you gave it all, your all, you were kind, you were, showed up with joy and love and acceptance and compassion, and just be authentic. So
So I was at my mentoring group a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about wearing a mask, you know, and like what that's like, and how and why you might have one. And I think we can agree that in different environments we are different.
Yes.
Right? Like, you know, in the office versus at home with your kids or whatever.
Totally.
But what I told my girls, it's like, it's okay to be a little different in these groups. It's okay to, you know, be more relaxed or maybe talk a certain way and whatever. But what you want is for every one of those different groups of people to say, oh yeah, that person's really nice. You can trust her. She's fun. Yeah. She always comes when I need help, no matter what the group is. And that's how you know you're being your authentic self and you're not wearing a mask. And I think that's like so important.
That is, and it's the common thread. There's a consistency there, right? It's I couldn't agree more with you, and I love that.
Yeah.
That's great advice too.
So anything else you'd like to share before we go?
No, I mean, I think the only thing is, I think so many women are so inspirational, and I think, we're merely scratching the surface of what the Coachella Valley holds as far as just the incredibleness of who this valley has and what we've created here. I've been here since I was 7, so really long time. I've watched this valley be dirt, literally. I would not come past Washington Street because nothing existed. And now I live that way.
That's so true. I can remember coming down Highway 74 and there literally not being any houses. And it's funny because I live off of Highway 74 now, and I know my house that I live in now was there when I was driving down in the 70s because it was built in 1958.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know what I mean? It's so cool. And once again, thank you for you and Valerie and Dawn being such an example of how women can only just hold each other up and lift each other up. It's a great example for your daughter, but I notice that so much in everything that you guys do. And you're right, there's so many women. We do this, there's so many women. So
well, I have a macro focus of the 2 women that I get to do daily life with, and I'm incredibly lucky and blessed in every capacity, because you're right, we are each other's champions, as we should be with each other.
Exactly. So, yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you.
All right, until next time, kids.